It's time for Will Trent to push Will and Angie to the side and usher in a new couple to succeed them in Season 4. The childhood best friends have had an on-and-off relationship for many years. However, Will and Angie's dynamic doesn't exactly have a healthy foundation, resulting in a toxicity that has repeatedly hurt them in the ABC police procedural series. Will Trent Season 4 should forget about Will and Angie and focus on their perfect replacement. After all, Angie is happy and having a baby with Seth, and Will has more important things to worry about, i.e., Amanda's survival. Angie has seemingly moved on from Will, and he is being forced to do the same. As such, Will Trent needs a new romance to root for. Will Trent Season 4 needs a break from Will and Angie. Will and Angie's relationship has become tiring. No one can deny that Will and Angie have a strong bond and know each other better than anyone else, and probably always will, in ABC's Will Trent. They have been together for some of the darkest moments of their respective lives. However, that doesn't mean Will and Angie are good for one another, at least in a romantic sense. Will and Angie's roller coaster of a relationship in the police procedural series has grown tiresome over the seasons. At first, their connection was intriguing because it was so complex. Now, though, Will and Angie's romance is only bad in Will Trent, for both of them and the people around them. It always ends with someone getting hurt, whether intentionally or not. It also doesn't help that Will and Angie's on and off situation has become repetitive. It's an endless cycle that consistently regresses their relationship, which is much more frustrating than it is interesting. We would much rather watch two characters form a new bond and see it progress over time, instead of witnessing more of Will and Angie's drama. Plus, after the events of the Will Trent Season 2 finale, it would be difficult for Will and Angie to find a way to have a healthy romantic dynamic. So, it's time for the show to take a break from the mess that is their relationship. Perhaps Will and Angie can rebuild their friendship in Season 4, but the writers shouldn't force them together again. Elijah's introduction sets up him and Faith as Will Trent Season 4's best Will and Angie replacement. Will Trent Season 3 introduces Faith's new love interest in Episode 10. Outside of Will and Angie's characters, Will Trent hasn't featured much romance. Ormwood is in the midst of a nasty divorce, Amanda is single, and could be on her deathbed, and Faith has taken a couple of lovers over the years, but none of them have stuck. Hopefully, that will change in Will Trent Season 4 with Faith and Elijah. Will Trent Season 3, Episode 10, regarding the death of Whitney McAdams, introduces Elijah as Faith's new love interest. He is a choreographer at the Belrose League, and Will and Faith's murder victim was one of his students. Right off the bat, sparks fly between Faith and Elijah. Thankfully, he isn't involved in the killing, and he and the GBI agent are free to explore their connection. Elijah helps bring out a version of Faith that we rarely see, her as a dancer, and she can't hide the fact that she is drawn to him. He later asks her out on a date, and she says yes. The Will Trent episode ends with them dancing at a ball, and Faith confesses that she needs more fun in her life, implying that she needs more of Elijah in her life. If the Will Trent co-showrunners play their cards right, Faith and Elijah can serve as the TV show's replacement couple for Will and Angie. They have laid the groundwork for their relationship, and it's clear that they have a lot of potential as a couple. The powers that be must simply continue what they have already started in Will Trent Season 4. Why Faith needs a good love story after what happened with Luke. Luke abruptly left the ABC series. Iantha Richardson as Faith Mitchell and Sir Darius Blaine as Luke in Will Trent Season 2, Episode 1. Faith needs a win in Will Trent, and her budding relationship with Elijah could be just that. Before Elijah, Faith had a sexual, and sometimes professional, arrangement with Luke, a reporter, in Season 2 that never amounted to anything. She didn't want to commit, while he was ready to put a label on their relationship in the ABC police procedural TV series. Following the Will Trent Season 2 finale, it seemed like Faith might finally give in to Luke. However, when Season 3 premiered, Luke was nowhere to be found, and it appeared as if he and Faith had ended their fling. The crime drama simply tossed Luke to the side and all but ignored the fact that he played a semi-significant role in Faith's story in Season 2. Can Faith and Elijah be better than Will and Angie? They have great chemistry. Darius Jordan Lee as Elijah and Iantha Richardson as Faith Mitchell in Will Trent Season 3, Episode 10. The good news is that Faith and Elijah already have a strong foundation in Will Trent, making it easier for the writers to develop their relationship. They also have palpable chemistry, which certainly helps if Will Trent wants to make Faith and Elijah one of the show's biggest couples. However, the bad news is that Elijah hasn't been seen since his first episode. Faith and Elijah can't succeed Will and Angie if he's not around to build their connection, making the audience fall in love with their love. If they are to replace, and become better than, Will and Angie's hopeless romance, Elijah must return to the ABC crime drama. Once that happens, everything else can fall into place. Whatever the case, Faith and Elijah can bring something fresh to the series. After 3 seasons of watching Will and Angie pine for one another and get into several arguments, it would be wise to introduce a new romance. The Trent writers must leave Will and Angie's back-and-forth relationship in the past and focus on a promising connection between 2 other characters.